Hello, everybody, and welcome to Longer and Harder with Internalized Misogyny. I am the law. So, like always, let's do housekeeping first that I have to take care of. As you can see, there's a new overlay because someone was bitching about the old overlay. So, I don't know, good, bad, you need improvements, you suck, whatever. Let me know in the comments, in the chat, what you think of this one. If you know an artist who is willing to work on the cheap, because I don't have like a crap ton of money to spend on this, let me know, because I would really like to make this look as professional as I can, but I am working with like GIMP and stuff. I do like it more than the other one. I understand the problem with the other one with the red or the purple and green kind of being crazy. So I understand the complaint. I'm going to take it. Whatever. It's fine. But if you like it, let me know. What else do we need to do besides that? Oh yes. I'm sorry I didn't quite get to do the Flat Earth video that I thought I was going to do. Mostly I know somebody had suggested that I do the Magnetic Field 1.0 video, but I watched through it and it was boring as all hell. Like, that's just a boring video. They spent like half the video being like, hey, all of our models don't work. Like, that was half the video. Then the other half of the video was like, it kind of looks like Iron Man's arc reactor, so it's a magnet thing. I don't know. Gets the tongue splint. We might. Oh my goodness, all the words. We'll get to that. And then what else did I need to say? Oh yes. So before I start talking about internalized misogyny, we'll get to that in a second. The first thing I wanted to say is I got some criticism for this video, and I got the same thing for the last time I did internalized misogyny. Feel free to criticize me. Like, I'm never going to get mad at you for criticizing me on anything. It's why when somebody said that they didn't like my overlay, I took the time to fix it. Not just for that one individual, but if it's really bad, if you give me any criticism, I'm happy with criticism. I prefer people criticize me than not. And I'm never going to get mad at you for disagreeing with me. I'm never going to ban you. I'm never going to delete your comment for disagreeing with me. That's not the kind of channel that I have. So we're not going to do that. If you disagree with me, you think my politics are stupid, you think that I'm wrong, let me know. The only thing that I ask is if you're going to criticize me, that you actually criticize what I am saying or doing. So in the last internalized misogyny video and in the Gavin McInnes video, I got people saying like, you're a liberal cuck, fuck off, or I'm subscribing, and things like that. Like, that's not criticism. That's just you having a fucking knee-jerk reaction. Like, actually criticize me. Flat Earth Math is really good at criticizing me for this shit, and I love him for it. I think Flat Earth Math is great, and good on him. So you're gonna make me an overlay? Okay. Well, you make me one. That would be awesome. This is what I put together, and just, again, just using GIMP. Take a screenshot of this, and it needs to sort of look around that and around those dimensions. I think I've given you my monitor dimensions in the past. I think it's 19 whatever by 1820, whatever the 19 one is, 1920. 1920 by 1080, I think, is my monitor size, so it needs to be at least that big. It needs to be a PNG so that I can see through it, that kind of things. Current one doesn't look bad? Good. All right. So that's that on criticism. Please criticize me. And then I think that was it. So I'm not going to start the video because there are yet. I will get to it, I promise. There is a couple of... Ooh, sweet. That would be awesome, Micro. There was something that I wanted to address before I got to the video, which is why I got my panties in a twist over this video, or like Flat Earth Math put it, why I got triggered by this video. And it's because what internalized misogyny did is something that I have to deal with a lot, and it's something that I have to deal with a lot usually from social justice warrior types. I don't have to deal with it usually from sort of the anti-social justice warrior types, but apparently I do now. which is this idea that people have to defend me, or people have to have to be offended on my behalf, which pisses me the fuck right off, as you can tell. I usually, so for example, every Cinco de Mayo, every May 5th, and for you who aren't Americans, on May 5th in the United States, we have sort of this unofficial celebration called Cinco de Mayo, which is supposed to celebrate our neighbors to the south, Mexico, and we're supposed to celebrate their culture, which usually ends up with a bunch of white guys running around drinking margaritas and sombreros and drinking tequila, which is all perfectly fine and fun. I think that shit is, it's like our, it's like St. Patrick's Day, where you don't really end up celebrating much of the much of the Irish culture. It's an excuse for you to get drunk. It's a perfectly good excuse to get drunk, and I'm never going to give you a hard time for doing it. But every year, come Cinco de Mayo, I have to listen to social justice warriors tell me, and tell everyone else, how Cinco de Mayo is offensive and how it demonizes my culture and all that bullshit. And it pisses me off because it's my culture. Like, the person who should be offended is me, and not them. And so there's a couple of reasons why this bothers me so much. Besides the don't get offended on my behalf thing, is that one is I never asked for it. Like, I never asked you to get offended for me. Let me get offended. The other thing is that I'm trying to remember this. I really should have written this stuff down. The other thing is that it always makes me, you're kind of, when you get offended on my behalf or the behalf of my culture or whatever, you kind of treating me as a child. Like, you're pretty much saying that I am incapable of speaking out on my own behalf on this subject. And that's bullshit. Like, I'm not a child. I can defend myself. If I'm really offended by what people are doing, I will say something about it. And then the last reason that really gets my panties in a bunch is that I'm being either my culture or who I am is being used as a prop to further someone else's ideology. And that is bullshit. Like, that's why I really got mad at Internalized Misogyny, because I am not a fucking prop for you to use as a reason to push your ideology. Like, I'm an immigrant, and that is for me to do what I want with, not for her to be like, I am gonna stand here in defense of these legal immigrants. Like, no, I didn't ask you to defend legal immigrants. Legal immigrants, I'm sure there are some, but we don't need you to defend us. We are quite capable of doing it ourselves, so fuck off. And that's not in my name. And that's why I really got upset about this. And that's why I went in that little short rant at the end of my video about her speaking on my behalf. Besides the fact that she misrepresents me, she also tells me how I should feel. I never asked her to, and I don't want her to. I don't want her to defend me. Especially because I don't need defending, and this isn't an issue. So that's why I got mad, and I'm saying that now because chances are I'm not actually going to make it far enough down the video to actually talk about it, so, because you all are going to distract me in a sec. So I'm just putting that at the beginning so that anybody who says anything will get to it. I also did share this video with Internalized Misogyny, and I let her know that the show was happening today. I doubt she'll show up, but I did invite her to show up and either speak in the chat or whatever and, watch it, because I did criticize her a lot. And, she deserves she can defend herself. And what else was there? Oh, yeah. So that's it for that. What else was there? There seemed to be some confusion about DACA and what it is. So I know that Gio asked me this in Skype, and I kind of explained it to you. But I'm just a brief overview is that DACA is... what it is if you were brought into the United States as a child, like like under the age of 16, and you're a grown-ass person at this point, you can apply to pretty much not be deported, as long as you follow certain conditions. So, and then even the requirements for being able to receive DACA are they're not that difficult, but they're kind of difficult. Like, you have to be You have to have been under 16 when you cross the border. You also have to be under 31 in like 2007, like on a certain date in 2007. Yeah, you are all here to distract me. And so there are like other requirements. And the reason and then you have to be a student, or if you're in the student-y age, or you have to have a job if you're like a full grown-ass adult. Those are your requirements. And one of the things that, and I guess I'll talk about it later, is that's kind of how that works. Hey, it's Chocolate Hat. Chocolate Hat, I should make you a moderator. Keep these guys in check, will you? I don't trust them. Special, keep an eye on that micro. He's a sly one. All right, so now I'll get distracted by the by the chat. Okay, if she does show up, I'll say my piece of how taking ownership of others is never good, no matter how hard you believe what you did is for you. Yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like other people trying to defend me. That really gets under me, which is why I made the video in the first place. It's weird to think everybody was pretty much pro-DACA until Obama expanded it. It's weird that there is a moral crusade now. Yeah, DACA, I don't know. I don't know why people... I haven't heard a good argument why people don't want it besides just nationalism. Like, people just don't like foreigners. I don't think it's a race thing. I just think it's a nationalism thing. I think for some people it's definitely a race thing. But I think a lot of it is... it's just nationalism. I'm drunk sewing, about to retire to bed. Thought you were all reprobates. Yes. I lie to myself all the time. We all do. Your computer illiterate. That's okay. Just, make sure that no one does anything stupid. So yeah. It's weird. I haven't heard a really good argument against DACA. Even the argument that she uses is kind of silly, and we'll talk about it as we go along. But I really haven't. If someone has a good one, put it in the whatchamacallits in the chat, or put it in the comment section, and tell me why you don't think DACA should be a thing. I will tell you why I think it's a thing, because I don't think she ever mentions that what I think is the main argument, which is that if you were brought here as a child, you had no control. Like, you had no control over the circumstances, right? You're a child, you're a minor, and you were in a way forced to come along. It's not like you can stay back in your country and live your life without your parents, right? Or whoever your caregiver is. I can't tell if it's nonsense or Welsh. Oh goodness, I don't know. You should see some of the words these guys have been trying to make me pronounce. I am honestly, if you hit your head on the keyboard at this point, I'm gonna assume that it's a Danish word. But yeah, so I haven't heard a good argument for it. Oh yeah, so if you're brought in as a child, then you are kind of more of a victim than you are, like, you're not a criminal as much as you are a victim. And we do this in other parts of our law. Like, this isn't unique to immigration. So for example, there's sex trafficking, which is a thing. And you have minors that get sort of dragged into sex trafficking and are, that are pushed into being prostitutes, and, have to have sex with strangers for money and stuff. And we don't prosecute those children as criminals because they engaged in prostitution. We protect them because they really had no choice in the matter. And so this is similar, where we don't want to prosecute people who have honestly done nothing wrong besides being brought into the country against their own will. And so we give them an opening to be able to go down this path of eventually becoming U.S. citizens, but of becoming legal immigrants. And all that really DACA does is sort of open the door to do that. One of the misrepresentations that I've heard a lot is a lot of this talk about we just giving this stuff away. And that's entirely wrong. We're not giving anything away. Here's a method for you to become a legal immigrant, and here's how you do it. And there's a process to that. It's a process that, it's not horribly expensive. It's like $500 for just the application, plus the time, plus my guess is from personal experiences, you have to put in money to get your fingerprints done, get your, all the paperwork done. It can get kind of pricey. Even $500. I think when I was becoming a U.S. citizen, I had to, on my own, I forked over $600 just for the application. If I wanted to have a lawyer sit down and fill it up for me, it was like $900. So it's going to be somewhere in that range. It's not like a cheap thing, and it's not a fucking handout. There was a comment up here we're going to read real quick. It's just those filthy illegals having jobs and paying taxes, making the country better. What does this asshole think they are doing? I know, right? Then that was legit a complaint that Internalized Misogyny had, was you have all these immigrants having jobs. And I don't know how that's a complaint. Like, it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, if you're an illegal immigrant in the country who doesn't have a job and is, I don't know, living off of the state or being a bum and begging or whatever, then you're, a freeloader. But the moment that you're an immigrant in this country with a job, you're fucking taking jobs away from Americans. And, like, you can't fucking win, I swear. R&D, yeah, but victims are to blame as well for just being in the situation they find themselves in. American culture was and still is run on blame over reality. It is. That is one of the main themes that I have found while making this video, is that a lot of people really just want to see that punishment done. Like, that is the main thing, is we need to punish people. We can't. Oh, you sent me a thing? I'll try to download it. Not right now. I guess I could change it right now, but it might be difficult. Thank you, Gio. Is that the people just want the punishment, like, and prisons work the same way. Like, prisons all about punishing the perpetrator. It's not about rehabilitation. It's not about making them better so they don't do it again. It's about us feeling better about punishing somebody. It's fucking stupid. The whole point of welfare state is that those without jobs get something off everyone else. Yeah. Yeah, I can tell that you put a crap ton of effort into it, because, you made it in like 30 seconds. All right. Let's see. I might do it. Not right now because I have to tinker with things, but I'll try. All right, so let's actually get to the video. Let me know if you can hear it, not hear it, whatever. In the chat, let me know.
So DACA has been on a lot of people's minds lately, mine included. I have made it very clear where my opinion on this falls, and for me, this issue is very black and white.
So I got a complaint about the fact that right after this I said something along the lines of, thank you for making it apparent, or thank you for admitting that you're oversimplifying this issue. So the person complained that saying that they see something in black and white is an admittance that they're oversimplifying, and you're right, it's not an admittance that you're oversimplifying it. But if you view anything in law as black and white, you are either entirely ignorant of law or you are oversimplifying it. Like, those are kind of your only two options there. Law is ridiculously complicated. It is never black and white. Even the things that we think are simple are not black and white. And I am shits on Doctor Who with her views. Yeah, that's one of the things my wife and I were talking about, the fact that she's got the Doctor Who avatar. One of the funny things is that pretty much Doctor Who is an illegal alien everywhere he goes, by the very literal sense of that word. The Doctor is a illegal alien everywhere he goes. Period. Like, he's not legally there. He's not legally allowed to be there, but he does it anyway. So, I don't know. I guess we should deport the Doctor as well. Time to distract me. Yeah. All right. 5 decibels at least. Like, is this too low? Is that what you're saying? Isn't he like the president of Earth? I don't think the Doctor's the president of Earth. So he's allowed, I think, like, I think the UK has kind of given him permission, but like, he still goes to like the US and to other planets that, probably just know him. Paddington Bear is illegal, but we all love him. It's a bit low. Okay, so we're gonna I'm gonna heighten that up a little bit. All these videos are different, so I never know how high. I want it to be around the same level as my voice. I keep an eye on the levels over here. Also, you should try clicking on things the right way. R&D. The Doctor has views of inclusion. As Matt Smith said in A Christmas Carol, you know, in over 900 years, I've never met anyone that wasn't important. He really does. The Doctor is very, very progressive. Like, the character of the Doctor is not just a show. The character of the Doctor is very, very progressive. It sometimes good, sometimes bad ways, but he is. So I'm pretty sure the character of the Doctor would disapprove of this. But, you know, he's fictional, so we can only guess. I'm pretty sure that he becomes president a couple of times when shit hits the fan. He might. I don't know. I haven't watched Doctor Who enough or anything. Yeah, I know you meant illegal immigrant. Man, you were like hella drunk, Chocolate Hat. That is like some drunk typing I'm seeing there. All right.
Illegal aliens should be deported. Period. And yes, that includes all of these dreamers.
All right. So this part, and I kind of got into a little bit of and Flat Earth Math hasn't gotten back to me yet, but he kind of told me off on this, which was that that I incorrectly said that dreamers are legal immigrants. So that's not my opinion. It's not my opinion that dreamers are legal immigrants. It is U.S. policy that they are. And I quoted in my video a section of the United States Citizens and Immigration Services, where they talk about how, according to the Department of Homeland Security, anybody who has applied and been approved for deferment, or DACA. What is a dreamer? I'll explain. I guess I should start there. So a dreamer is someone who has applied for deferment, or DACA. They're also called DACA recipients as well. DACA being that the deferred action is kind of the main term. That means that the U.S. government isn't going to do anything to immediately deport them, and they are pretty much given the right to stay in the country. But yeah, can I just point out that even illegal aliens, depending on what immigration law we happen to agree on, even if that's really gray, I suppose. DACA, D-A-C-A, DACA, not Docker. D-A-C-A. It's deferred action something something. I forget the last two letters, but it's deferred action is kind of the big one, which means that they were the people who apply for it did come into the country illegally, so they technically broke the law, but we're gonna kind of turn a blind eye to it and be like, yeah, we know you did, but we're not gonna care all that much about it. If you fill out this application, pay us $500 and promise to get a job and promise to not, join gangs and do criminal stuff, then as long as you do that, we will ignore this. So it's kind of a temporary deferment. It lasts 2 years, and then you have to reapply for it. But if you do it, it can eventually lead to you. I can't even talk, Micro. The poor colored Asians. Oh goodness, Micro. It can eventually lead for you to be able to get a work permit, which is kind of one of the first steps that a lot of immigrants get to becoming a resident. So you get like a work permit first, and then you become a resident, and then you become a citizen. It's more or less the steps. Usually, so the way that I did it, because I'm a legal immigrant into the country. The way that I did it is that I came into the country with a student visa. And this was when I was like 5 or 6. I think I was 5. I came into the country with a student visa, so I had permission to be in the country with a visa as long as I was a student and stayed in the country and whatever. But this would expire every so often. I forget. I don't know. I don't remember the times because I was a kid when this happened. But every once in a while, I had to go back to Mexico, study there for a while, and then I could come back into the country again with another student visa. I had to renew. So I did a lot of back and forth for a while. Eventually, my dad got like a sponsor is probably the best way to do it for a work permit, which is now his business partner was his sponsor. God, like forever ago, like 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. He became his sponsor to get a work permit, and because I was his direct family, my mom, myself, and my sister all got work permits to be in the U.S. for, I want to say, 10 years. I think that lasts 10 years. And then at some point, I don't think we waited all 10 years. I think it was like 8 years or 7 years. And then after that amount of time, we applied for residencyship. I had to go talk to a judge, and I had to go get my fingerprints done and do a bunch of things. And then, by the way, all of this is still dependent. So even if you go through the legal way, if you come into the country legally, you still have to follow all the laws. So growing up, I had to make sure that I never got arrested for anything, pretty much, because a felony if I remember right, and it's been a while, a felony automatically automatically makes me ineligible for citizenship. A felony will do that. So if I'm a felon, they just won't even look at me. I can continue to be a U.S. resident, I believe, but I can't become a U.S. citizen. And yeah, so after like 7 years of residency, of being a resident, you're allowed to apply for citizenship. That's a whole other thing. And then you apply for that, and then you become a U.S. citizen. Once you're a U.S. citizen, it's a done deal. They can't be revoked. Like, I'm a U.S. citizen now, and I have every right that every other U.S. citizen has, except for one, which is that I'm not allowed to be a U.S. president. Period. Like, that's the one right that I don't share with anyone else. So besides that, I'm equal to everyone else. And throughout this whole time, so if you go through, if you go through it the legal way, throughout the whole time, I still had to pay taxes. With a work permit, I still had to pay taxes. With a residencyship, I still had to pay taxes. I didn't necessarily have to work through all of those, but I still had to do things. You had the right idea. So, remember how I said earlier how someone was complaining about the overlay? Guess who we found? So, hopefully you like the new overlay, Fino. I did this for you. However, I hear that Geo actually... I hear that Geo actually made me a new one. I might try to get it up in a bit. Maybe when I take my break, maybe when I take my 1 hour get a new beer pee break, I'll try to switch it out. Yeah, immigration laws are really weird. Not getting arrested is generally a solid idea, to be honest. It really is a solid idea. The only reason I don't want to get it up, Geo, is because it takes time and I have to find the file, and then you have to look at you have to hear silence as I'm thinking and trying to figure out, and then you have to just sit here and watch that silly screen that I have. But yeah, so that's how you become a U.S. citizen. Those are kind of the steps. Those are kind of the usual steps. If you don't follow the usual steps, you come into the country illegally, then if you're a DACA recipient, you get the ability to stay in the country, and then eventually you can sort of get promoted to having a work permit, and then you have to follow everything else. That's it. Like, you have to. That's the only difference between the path that I took and between the path that a dreamer took, is just the first step. That's it. They have a different first step than I did, but everything else stays the same. They have to follow the same rules I did. You know, it might be much better than the current one. I used Paint for it. Oh, goodness, Paint. I hope it's a PNG. I told you, it's got to be a PNG, otherwise I can't use it. Alright. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, dreamers are not illegal immigrants. They are legal immigrants, and that's not my opinion. That is U.S. policy. Period. Like, it's not I'm not opinionating here on law without a law degree. It is simply, that's simply fact. And I did, I showed in my video, I showed a clip of reading from the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services stating that. So you're not. So here's the thing, though. You're not technically. You don't have legal standing, so you're not legally here, but you're also not illegally here. You're in the middle, which is something that internalized misogyny just gets wrong. Is that by the policy itself, you are legally allowed to be here, and you're not an illegal immigrant. You're not, at that point in time, breaking a law. So this idea that we need to deport illegal immigrants. So even if we did right now, even if we said, or if we could just, throw out every illegal immigrant magically, like wave a wand, all illegal immigrants left the United States. Dreamers would still stay because they are not illegal immigrants. It's really that simple. And it's not my opinion. It's I read from the services that do that. That's not just me opinionating it. I showed it, and there's a few other ones. Yeah, R&D and GeoServer jumped off it before Pete came on to play. They got off easy. I don't like Pete. Not that I don't know if I don't like him as a person, but he's a lot of stupid. I'm not gonna lie. He's a lot of stupid. I had a friend of mine, like a legit IRL friend of mine, come and talk to Pete for like a couple of hours about 9/11, and he was just distraught. He didn't know how to react to somebody that stupid. It's by the way, oh my goodness. So let me take a drink. If you've never talked to Pete Shea about 9/11, his idea of 9/11 is fucking hilarious. So most 9/11 truthers are like, something hit the buildings, right? Like a rocket or something. But that wasn't what caused the building to collapse. It was whatever, a controlled demolition, right? But the building, but something did hit the building. It just wasn't an airplane full of people. Pete Shea does not believe in that. Pete Shea actually thinks that the building, that whatever hit the buildings was like a hologram or something, and that the buildings were empty. And he showed me like a picture of the Twin Towers during construction, so it's empty on the inside, right? It's just a skeleton of the building. And he uses that as evidence for the fact that the buildings were empty. He uses a picture of them during construction as evidence that they were. It's, oh my goodness, it is honestly just the worst. He is quite bad. Fino, well, I had to redesign. Yeah, it's Fino's fault that you had to design my my overlay, Geo. We'll put it up in a bit. It's almost my break time, so we'll get up there. All right, let's keep going here.
Now, I'm sure there's going to be people who disagree, but let me tell you why I feel this way. Laws exist to be followed because they maintain order.
All right, so this, and I bring this up later, and I cut this clip out. Maybe I should have kept it in there. But I bring this up later about how laws are meant to be followed is stupid. In the U.S. currently, this is current today stuff. It is at the federal level. It is illegal. Drugs are illegal. Like any drug is kind of illegal. Like, well, not any drug. I shouldn't say that. Like marijuana is illegal, heroin, all that stuff. It's entirely illegal. In the U.S., federal law trumps state law. So if the federal government says this is illegal, it doesn't matter what the state government says. It only matters that the federal government says that it's illegal. So that means that all the states that have legalized marijuana are technically breaking the law. And at any point whatsoever, the federal government can step in and say, fuck you, we're putting you in prison, we don't care about your state laws. And that is perfectly within their rights and within legal, like, that is perfectly legal. And the reason that I bring this up is because if internalized misogyny is this worried about people breaking the law, then she should be campaigning for people to be put in jail for smoking marijuana in California, in Alaska, in DC, in Colorado. There's a couple other states, I think, too. She should be campaigning for those people to be stuck in jail because they are breaking the law. And that group of people breaking that law is way bigger than the, 800,000 immigrants that, according to her, are breaking immigration law. So she should be campaigning for that. Oh no, I understand states' right. And I think, so don't get me wrong, I think that California and Colorado and Alaska and DC all entirely have the right to do this. I think the federal government should stay out of it. Like, I don't want the federal government to go in there and do this. I think that they should have the right to do it. But technically they don't. And that's my point, is technically they are breaking the law. And if internalized misogyny is really that concerned about people breaking the law, then she's attacking the wrong group. Like, there's a bigger group of potheads out there breaking the law. There's whole industries in Colorado breaking the law, right? Like, she could have a whole bunch of people in prison right now if she was really genuinely that concerned about the law. And my guess is that she really doesn't care about the law. She cares particularly about this law. Yeah, states right. Friday's Real Time had the best bit of monologue for at least 2 years by Mar about the very subject of state. Yeah, state rights. I'm for state rights. I do think that California has every right to legalize marijuana and that the federal government should stay out of its business. And that is one of the nice things about our former Attorney General and about the Obama administration, is that is one of those times that they really were like, I'm going to look over here and pretend that I didn't see you breaking the law. And that was cool. I know that Jeff Sessions, the current Attorney General, isn't as nice about it. Like, he really wants to crack down on all that, like, on people smoking weed. He's a really big advocate of the war on drugs, because we all know how fucking successful that's been, right? So he's a big advocate of that. So I know the current Attorney General is less friendly to this. Which I guess would go just fine with internalized misogyny, because he's upholding the law. If you are for upholding the law, what about all those willful breaches of the Johnson Amendment? By now, practically no church should be tax exempt anymore. You're right. And that's the thing, is that we have a lot of laws that we turn a blind eye to, and that's okay, because we know that they're not okay. Like, I know that a lot of states have written into law things like atheists can't run for office and things like that, which are entirely unconstitutional, but they're technically still the law. But a lot of states are just like, we don't care. And there's a lot of stupid things, like, just look up stupid laws in the state that you live in, and you will find them. I don't remember if this is true anymore, but, like, spitting on the sidewalk, yeah. If I remember right, in Illinois, I think it's still on the books, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's still on the books that legally a woman cannot walk down the street on her own, but must have a male escort with her. Of some, like, a male companion to make sure that she's safe or whatever, right? And I think that's still in the technically law in Illinois. Of course, if anybody tried to arrest anybody for anything that's stupid, it wouldn't happen, because it's a stupid law. So we have like, we already have stupid laws in place and we just don't follow. So this idea that laws are meant to be followed and that's why we need to deport immigrants is just, it's just stupid. And it entirely ignores the fact that we don't do that already. All right. Amaria Hummel. I'm sorry if I am terrible pronouncing things. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you. Since when do you use this kind of language, Paranor? Yeah, Paranor. What are you doing? A solid chunk of laws tend to be unenforced because changing them would take time from fixing things that are actually matter. Yeah. No, it's true. And that's okay. Like, as long as they're not enforced or not enforceable, it really doesn't matter. Wasn't the most stupid laws actually case laws? Some judge some time ago, 150 years, and made a decision, and in theory is still binding as long as nobody overturns it. Yeah, no, there's a lot of them. Seriously, just go and look up, like, stupid laws in X state. You will find them. There is a crap ton of them, and they're stupid, and we ignore them, and that's okay. So, internalized misogyny is just like, no, fuck it. Every law is a law, and we need to follow it, and it's just like, this is why at the beginning I was so like, if you think that laws are black and white, then you're doing it wrong. Like, they're not black and white in any sense of the word. They are so much more complex. And to say that they are black and white either means that you are entirely ignorant about how laws work, or you are intentionally oversimplifying them to fit your argument. So, yeah.
They do not exist to be skirted, ignored, or outright broken.
And again, all the examples that I just gave are examples about how we do skirt, disobey, and break laws all the time. And that's okay. Like, there are good reasons why we do. Like, this idea that laws need to be followed is just, oh my goodness. It's just, again, if we were to follow internalized misogyny's logic, we should stick every 16-year-old's pot smoker in jail for just because they are technically breaking the law, even in the states where it's legal. It's, God, yeah, stupid laws do deserve to be broken, and there's so many of them. Seriously, and I know somebody pointed out, but it is so much cheaper and more effective to simply ignore them than it is to try to go through your law books and you know, go through the process of amending them or changing them or striking them down. Like, that is time that is better needed for important everyday things. Like, no one's gonna enforce the law that in Illinois a woman needs to walk with a male companion. Like, no one's gonna do that. It's stupid. If all the laws followed by the letter, 3/4 of the population would be in prison. It's true, including the Marines and the guards. It's true. Now, I do understand the sentiment that there are a lot of laws that aren't being followed that are sort of more important laws. I personally think the police has way too much power, and they ignore sort of the laws a lot, and I don't like it. But, you know, so like, even fucking, what's this called? There are laws, for example, I used to be illegal to get a BJ in San Francisco. Yeah. I'm sure there's some state out there where it's illegal to fucking masturbate because there's a bunch of uber Christian, you know, conservative politicians out there who want to ban everything. So, my favorite, the California law that says it's illegal to shoot any game animal from a moving vehicle except if you are whale hunting. Yeah. Blue whales, kill them all. Liberty University. Oh my goodness, Paranoid. That was pretty good. Bob Jones. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh, that is so right, Fino. Oh my goodness. I've never thought of it. Oh, that is brilliant. Oh. You, sir, get the award for the best comment in the stream today. Here you go. Enjoy. Awesome job. Oh.
If you break a law, you're supposed to face consequences. Granted, There are ways that people manage to avoid facing said consequences. Sometimes it's through avoiding law enforcement entirely. Sometimes it's by paying a lawyer a bunch of money to sway a jury into believing you're innocent when you're not. Sometimes it's paying off a judge. The point is...
And sometimes it's because we ignore enforcing those laws because... reasons. Hey, bye, Chocolate Hat. Thanks for stopping by, dude. If any of you in here aren't subscribed to Chocolate Hat, go do that, like, now. He's awesome. He's got a lot of awesome, great videos. We did a couple of hangouts a while ago. I still have, like... So if you think that I'm, like, easily distracted here, you should go watch those hangouts, because Chocolate Hat and I are, like, the worst at actually staying on topic together, ever. And I even have, like, 6 hours worth of footage where we were watching some video or talking about something. I don't even remember, so long ago. And I still have the footage, but I haven't edited it. Because, honestly, we would sit there and we would go... oh my goodness. We would go on tangents like every other second. Someone doesn't know how courts work. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine... So, internalized misogyny has this tendency, and I've been subscribed to her, and I don't blame you if you're subscribed to her. I think that a lot of her views, especially on, like, feminism stuff, I agree with. But she's got this tendency to just react to something and not actually, like, sit down and think about it. She's done this before. So fairly recently, she did a video when the whole transgender ban thing came into being, right? She did this whole video on how she kind of, I guess she agreed with it, right? She was like, yeah, no, we should ban transgenders from the military, the U.S. military. And then she actually sat down and talked to somebody who was in the military, and they were like, no, it's kind of stupid. And she changed her mind, which is great. I love that she does that. I love that she can actually talk to somebody and change her mind about it. But she kind of forgot that lesson and then did it again. Which is what I think she did here, is she just reacted and was like, no, fuck DACA. I'm not going to actually sit there and research it and talk to somebody who might know something about it, and instead I'm just going to say whatever. So I think that's what happened here. Rhetoric&Discourse, are you sure her views come from nationalism? I'm getting a whiff of denying a victim for their own victimization. That is true. So internalized misogyny is... I used to be subscriber for her. Blah. I used to be subscriber to her for a lot of her anti-feminist videos, and she does... I mean, she talks about that a lot in those videos, about, you know, playing the victim and not really caring about victimization. How she reacts later on with how like she says later on, you know, there's these immigrants who have jobs and there's these immigrants who are getting free college education. I really do think it's got more to do with nationalism than it does with just not understanding that these immigrants are more victims than anything else. That's, again, my personal opinion. I really don't know. I honestly, like I said, I left her a comment saying that I made the video and I shared the video and I told her that I was having the stream. She's a much bigger YouTuber than I am, so I don't necessarily expect her to show up, but it would have been nice to show up. It would genuinely be nice to talk to her about this. As angry as I got in my video, I think it would be good to talk to her about this and actually understand where she's coming from. I don't really know. I'm taking a guess with the nationalism thing. It would be nice to talk to her and be like, hey, where are you genuinely coming from when it comes to this DACA thing? Like, are you genuinely concerned about people breaking the law because, you know, there are a lot of stupid laws in the books that we kind of ignore? Or are you just worried that there are immigrants taking your jobs and stuff? I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get to talk to her. I really don't know.
The law is not perfect. Nothing is. There's always going to be people who find ways to skirt it. And when people do find ways to skirt it, most people are appalled by that. When a rapist gets off scot-free because his lawyer managed to make his victim look like a massive slut on the stand, we get outraged. When a mother harms her children and gets away with it because she was stressed out, we get pissed off.
So So she's got some genuine complaints here, and I'm not gonna like those are fine. They are kind of stupid reasons to break the law. But at the same time, like we said earlier, there's a lot of laws that we just don't pay attention to, and that's okay. Yeah, she's a victim denying big time in this bit. Yeah. And you guys are kind of back a little bit, so I have to remember. Yeah, I do think she's kind of doing that. A law without justice is just tyranny. You're right. So one of the things, and I really kind of wish part of me kind of wishes I would have not done a quickie about her and I would have done a regular video, but I honestly ran out of time and I just wanted to have a video for my Saturday release, right? Is that I think so she named this video, what did she name this video? In with the law, out with the feels, or out with the feelings, or something like that. And I think that entirely ignores how we come up with laws. Like, and I understand where she's coming from, because we've had this whole push about like feelings are important, like the feels. So, you know, we've had women who have gotten men fired because they made a dirty joke in their presence. Like, not that they worked with them, not that it was directed at them, but they kind of overheard them and their feelings got hurt. And that's bullshit, right? Like that kind of stuff is bullshit. But at the same time, feelings is also how we do things. Like, empathy is so important for our morality. Like, that is genuinely what differs us, what makes us different from animals, is that we can have empathy. Like, and I know there's a couple of other animals that can do that as well, but in general, that's one of the good things about us, is that we can empathize. We can look at other human beings and be like, you know, that kind of sucks. I kind of don't want to either have that happen to me, or I kind of feel bad for that. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to be empathetic about human beings. Like, as much as I want people to be, you know, logical and just think things through, at the end of the day, we are people with feelings. We are people who empathize. We are people who make decisions off of our feelings. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. And I think she forgets that. I think she forgets empathy. And I think she kind of equivocates lawfulness with moral correctness, which is also stupid. And there's something about Micro's ass in the in the chat, which is always good. A stream template by Micro. I can't wait to see it. Well, what has "we should enforce our laws" have to do with dreamers? Probably confused. So with dreamers, so according to Internalized Misogyny, and she's just plain old wrong about this. According to Internalized Misogyny, dreamers are illegal immigrants, and that's her opinion, that there are illegal immigrants. According to the Department of Homeland Security, they aren't. So, I mean, she's just wrong. In my video, I read from the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services, and there's several places where they're pretty much like, no, you're not illegally here, you are legally in the country. There's a few places where they mention that. So, that happens. You people logging in and out. So she thinks that because they are illegally here, they should be punished, or they should be held up to the law. Regardless of the morality of that law, they should still abide to that law. And that's kind of where it is. IM is too selfish in her immersion. She's imposing upon the all for her personal offense. Why she's victim denying, her emotions dictate rather than inform her thinking. Yeah, I do think that, you know, for all this talk about, all her talk about how, you know, how feelings shouldn't be the dictating factor in lawmaking. She certainly does use them a lot in her like in her idea of lawmaking. So that is a little bit hypocritical. She is personally offended by DACA recipients. She is personally, I think at some point she says it makes her sick to her stomach. So she is obviously having an emotional reaction, which again is fine. It's just, it's funny that she denies anyone else the ability to have the same kind of emotional reaction that she is. Like, she is allowed to have these emotional reactions. The rest of us need to fucking suck it up. Wait, we're talking sheer thickening or thinning ass? Oh, wait. Whose ass? I'm still talking about Micro's ass? Micro, your ass is non-Newtonian fluid. Would be wicked. Oh, goodness. Are you Wesley? I guess you are. You're Danish. You're east of the Mississippi. Deal with it.
But with DACA, people are openly celebrating the skirting of the law.
Okay. No. So, this is something that I don't think a lot of people understand. Is that the U.S. president has every legal right to dictate immigration law. It's why when Trump proposed his Muslim ban and actually enacted it for whatever, a couple of hours, however long that was, right? When he did that, he was well within his powers as president to do that. Which means that if he says so, it is law up until somebody, up until a judge says no, it's unconstitutional or whatever, right? So it is law. So when Obama said this is law on immigration, it is now law. Like, it's well within his power to say it. So DACA recipients aren't skirting the law. They are well within the law. So this is just a stupid, like, because of DACA, they are doing the lawful thing. So even there, she doesn't even understand the law. Like, just because you disagree with it and just because you think that it's unlawful doesn't actually make it unlawful. If a judge ever sits down and says DACA is unlawful, we're putting a stop to it, then it's unlawful. President Trump has now, whatever, not repealed, just gotten rid of DACA, right? So now it is illegal. But until then, it's not. They're well within their legal right. They're like, it is the law. DACA is the law, or was the law of the land. If she claims those naturalized born citizens are illegal immigrants, she is the one breaking the law and neglecting its purpose, letter and spirit. I don't think it's about natural born citizens. It's not. It's about naturalized citizens, or yeah, it's not about that. So I don't think that quite worked out. She's culture appropriating for popularity over understanding and agreeing with what it represents. Law and order, not for special victim unit. I love that one, Micah. Good job. Executive orders are kind of bullshit, but not like DACA is unique in this respect. I don't think DACA was an executive order. I could be wrong, so correct me. I could be wrong. I don't think it was an executive order. I think it was a legit, like, I am changing immigration law. Which I think and again, correct me if I'm wrong, the president is allowed to do that. In the same way that Trump is allowed to get rid of DACA. So right now that's what's happening, right? Like, Trump himself got rid of DACA. There's no vote for it. The House had nothing to do with it. The expansion was, there you go. The House had nothing to do with it. The Senate had nothing to do with it. It was just entirely, like, he can just do it because that's one of his powers. I have not delved deep into DACA, but it sounded as if the recipients became citizens due to being born in the U.S. No. No. DACA, sorry, Fino, that is not what DACA means. So DACA is entirely for, they're not children necessarily anymore, but it's to cover children who were brought into the States under the age of 16. So it's to, the purpose of it is to protect, I don't want to call them victims, but they kind of are, because they were dragged here by their parents. Like, you can't expect a 5-year-old to be like, no, mom, I'm not going to go with you to this foreign country and break the law. I'm going to stay behind in Mexico and, fend for myself for the next 13 years until I'm 18, right? Like, they follow their parents. And so they were brought in here more or less, not necessarily against their will, but definitely without any input on what they wanted. It was the parents' decision. And then traditionally they would still be open to be deported in the future because they broke the law. Because technically they crossed the border into the U.S. illegally. So they broke the law and they get deported. The problem with that is that you are now sending potentially people who have lived in the U.S. most of their lives, and you are now sending them to a foreign country. Even if it's not, even if it's their country of origin, it's foreign to them because they've lived in the U.S. forever. And this happens, this could happen to you if you're like 30 years old, and then you get deported, but you've lived in the U.S. for 25 years, and you now have to go back to your country of origin, and you know nothing of the culture. You don't have any, your job experience is all in the U.S. It's kind of, it's a not a very good situation for something that you never decided to do in the first place. Is half the world away from the U.S. immigration isn't that high on my personal interest list? No, that's fine. It doesn't have to be, but that's what DACA is. It really. I think what you're thinking about are, or what is commonly called as anchor babies, which are when women cross the border into the U.S. pregnant and then have their child in the U.S. And what happens there is because your child is a U.S. citizen, it's kind of, it's both, it's the legalness of it is weird too, but it's kind of immoral to send, to deport the mother without the child, because the child is legally allowed to be in the U.S. as they were born in the U.S. to deport the mother and leave the child, leave this this young child behind to fend for themselves. Rhetoric&Discourse. I understand how the dreamers feel. I recently found out my ancestors came from Saxony. I don't know where Saxony is, but yeah, I mean, it's like, so I am personally not a dreamer. Like, I'm too old for that. I'm too, like, I was already I want to say I was already a U.S. Yeah, I was already a U.S. resident before Obama even enacted DACA. So this doesn't affect me personally, but like my parents dragged me into the U.S. And again, it's not like they asked me like, hey, do you want to go to the U.S.? Yes or no? Like, if you don't want to, we'll stay behind. Like, they did it on their own, and that's fine. It's their decision. But Saxony is the Germany to what Alabama is the U.S. I am so sorry. Does that mean that your grandparents were cousins? Because that's kind of what Alabama's like. All right, so we are at the 1 hour mark. We are going to do that. All right, I am going to go to use the restroom, refill my drink, and I am going to set up Geo's thingamabob. And we'll see how that works. So this is a Geo and microbloganism overlay, which will be what's happening once I get back. So until then, have a short little break. I might try to add, you know what? I'm going to try to add that music that we had here before. If I can find it, we're going to just add that one. Let's see. Oh no, we want to do this one. Okay. So hopefully you should have some soothing music play, and I will be back. Alright, and we're back. And I can't have the overlay because it has to be transparent, you know? So, I can fix it, but I can't spend more time on it than today. So it's gonna have to wait until probably next time, Geo and Micro. I do love it though, I think it's excellent. So, I'll try to use it next time. I might have to edit a little bit because I do need a bar at the top to hide some of like my personal information on if he fixes it and gets it to me, I will pause again and try to do it, but I do need a bar at the top to hide some of my personal information because my my browser has my real name on it and stuff. It's, you know. No, it's not technical issues, Nim. Hey Nim, good, thanks for showing up for the stream. Appreciate it. Less technical issues, more of Geo and Micro made me a pretty cool, actually, I really love it, a pretty cool overlay to use instead of the one that I have right now. I don't know how often I'll use it, but they did make me a cool one, and I'm trying to show it off to everybody, but they kind of didn't do it right. So once it gets fixed, well, we might still try it yet. But let's move on with what internalized misogyny has to tell us. If I'm in the right spots, I am.
Barack Obama pushed DACA through, even though he knew, as a policy, it broke our own immigration laws. It was...
So, we talked about this earlier about, or no, kind of, yeah, about how some laws sent another one. Not sure if it's transparent, though. I don't know. I have to check. See, now you're making me do this again. Let's see. Is it transparent or not? We'll find. I'm gonna keep talking though, even though it says I'll be right back. I am still here. It doesn't look transparent. So it's also a JPEG. Oh, this one's a PNG. Is it transparent? It's not transparent. That's okay, Geo. I will fix it when I know exactly what I got to do to fix it when I get a chance. So unfortunately, not right now. Wow, all the things. There we go. I really wish I had a second monitor so I could do like monitor things on the other side, but not here. Yeah, you guys. If you send it as a PNG, it should so that white needs to be transparent because this overlay is on top of my screen, and so the overlay blocks out sort of the excess parts of my screen. Hey Crash, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining. But yeah, if you send it as a PNG, it shouldn't remove it. But it needs to be transparent in PNG. I can fix it here, just not at the moment. How come Sunday is so full of chants? I don't know. I feel like I kind of wanted to yell at Sly earlier today, being like, "Hey, like you gotta have yours earlier or something," because I think I've had mine longer than you have, and mine are always at the same time on Sundays, you jerk. But I do love Sly's hangout, so that jerk. Well, I have it now. I'll try to fix it. Thank you, Geo and Micro. I will fix it when I'm all done, and we will. Oh, you could try zip it and send it too. And I will either that or I'll fix it when I get a chance, and we will do what we can. All right. She said something about oh yes, the current Obama's immigration law broke current law. There was something that I said. Oh yeah, this happens all the goddamn time. It's okay. Yeah, on with the show. The show must go on. So yeah, as we've been talking about just stupid laws this whole time, and like this kind of shenanigans happens all the time. The important one, the one that I brought up earlier. Oh no, here because I don't want to just sit on the same because I don't want to sit on the same point because I already talked about marijuana. We have other laws that kind of supersede existing laws all the time. There is, for example, a lot of states allow their cops to do things like, if you're an undercover cop, you're allowed to do things like do drugs, possess drugs, commit crimes and stuff, and you're not gonna get, you're not gonna get sent to prison for doing that while you're an undercover cop. that's just how that works. And while I disagree with that, I'm just showing, like, I bring that up as precedent. Like, this isn't the only time where we have sort of, you know, a low level, the best I can put it, like a low level law, and then a law on top of it that says, hey, it's okay for you to break that law. One of my favorite examples is actually, if any of you have ever taken like CPR and anything, we have these things called Good Samaritan laws, because if you perform CPR, if you ever have to perform CPR on anybody, and if you're trained in it and you know how this works, there's a very, very good chance you're going to break bones, burst spleens. You're going to hurt somebody doing CPR. Like, CPR takes a lot of strength, and you will break things. You will definitely break things performing CPR. And so we have these Good Samaritan laws saying, you know, hey, we understand that usually if somebody breaks your ribs, you know, we would prosecute them, but, you know, in this case, we're not going to prosecute them even though they broke your ribs, because they were trying to save your life. So again, this whole idea that laws aren't black and white, that they are very complicated. They're just the worst. Like, sorry, they're just complicated. They're not as simple as you break the law, you should go to jail. You don't break the law, you're good. Like, they are so complicated, and internalized misogyny just ignores this. To pretty much say, if you break the law, like, you deserve whatever punishment comes to you, and that's just stupid. Well, that's the reason for the powers that make new laws and amend the existing law. If you think that things should be overturned and exceptions be created. So, I mean, I guess in a perfect world, we would, by all technicalities, reverse the current laws and then put the new law in place. But that's not always how it works. Sometimes we just say, well, this is the old law, this is the new law. Even if the new law breaks the old one, that's okay, because it's the new law. Like I said, this is how laws work. Like, we do this all the time. Ask a lawyer. Ask a lawyer if laws are simple. It's true. Like, if laws were as simple as black and white, we wouldn't have fucking schools charging you a crap ton of money to learn them. Like, this idea that laws are black and white is stupid. Break and re isn't even necessary. Proper EMT also do not have to pay for clothes they need to rip or cut off patients. No, you're right. Like, Good Samaritan laws are there for a reason. It's because you will probably hurt somebody, ruin their shit, or do, you know, especially if you're just, you know, I know an EMT probably could, but, like, I've just been CPR trained. Like, I'm not an EMT. Like, I just have whatever CPR certificate, right? And they, like, that's one of the things that every class that I've ever taken on CPR, they always tell you, you will probably break ribs or burst an appendix somewhere. You will hurt somebody doing this. But it's okay, because in this state we have Good Samaritan laws that are going to protect you from having these people, you know, try to bill you for their health, you know, their hospital bills because you broke their ribs or you ruptured their spleen or whatever, right? Like, you're protected. Even though you hurt them, you're protected because you were doing it in good faith of trying to save them. Same thing, you're right. Same thing with cutting people's clothes off, which you have to do as an EMT. Like, we have these, you know, we have these tiers of law where usually if I were to go up to somebody and break their ribs, I would be in deep trouble, but this time we're going to ignore them. Okay, let's see. So we got a new file, a zip file. Should we try this, guys? I'm going to let you guys decide if you're okay with me kind of pausing, going into the be right back scene so that I can do this. If you're okay with that, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep talking until I hear from the chat. And click on the right spot because I'm useless.
Allowed to stay in place for
Go
years.
for it.
And now we have 800,000 DACA recipients currently living in our country, working jobs in our country, and even being given free college tuition in some cases.
So this one, oh my goodness. Fucking people have jobs. Like, the horror of people having jobs. There's no problem. So after this little rant, I'll do that. It is an awesome thing. So yeah, the travesty of people having jobs. Like, how horrible that immigrants have jobs. Like, that's just the fucking, like, I don't even know why that's a problem. Again, this is the Schrodinger's immigrant. You have a job and you're fucking berated for it. You don't have a job and you're mooching off the state. Like, what are you supposed to do at this point? Like, the fuck? They are legal immigrants, as has already been established before by the United States Citizens and Immigration Services. You are a legal immigrant. You're allowed to have a job. It is well within your rights as a legal immigrant to have a job. Like, you're not breaking the law, but let's get all angry about people having jobs. The example I would point to Bill Clinton arguing, which is meant to, if they live off her, she would not like it either. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's true. Like, what are you supposed to do to please this woman? Like, be an immigrant with a job and you piss her off because reasons. Be an immigrant without a job and you piss her off because reasons. Like, the fuck? So the other one, the college tuition one, somebody tried to clear this up for me in the comment sections of my video. And they told me that the problem was that they got free tuition, which meant that somebody had to pay for it. Which to me was, so what? I don't know exactly what she's talking about. It is entirely possible for you to go to college for free using only either private loans, private scholarships, something in the private sector. Which means, they're allowed to give their money to whoever they want, right? Like, who cares? Who cares if, the YMCA decides to give some kid, $30,000 to go to college? Like, why do you care about that? Government loans, or not the government grants, government scholarships you might care about because, it's your tax money paying for that. But the thing is that legal immigrants are already eligible for a lot of those. And like I said this in my comments, is from personal experience. My first year of college, I had to pay quite a bit of it, and I have huge student debt because of that. Because I wasn't eligible for a lot of government help. So a lot of financial aid I wasn't eligible for, a lot of government grants I wasn't eligible for, because my first year in college, I went to college on my work permit. When my second year of college rolled around, I went to college I was a resident, so I went to college as a resident at that point. And then once I became a legal resident, it opened up to what I had access to. I had access to different grants and stuff. And so my guess is that whoever she is talking about, and again, I don't know the specifics, but my guess is they are probably, at the very minimum, a legal U.S. resident. And the thing is, that's not DACA's fault. Like, neither DACA nor Obama had anything to do with legal U.S. residents having access to government grants. Like, that's already... When I went to college during Bush Jr., during Bush's era, so I don't know why this complaint exists. Like, this has nothing to do with DACA. DACA didn't make it so the U.S. residents or legal U.S. immigrants had access to government grants. Like, that already existed before you were even, before DACA was even a thing. Or before Obama did it. Like, whatever. Bill tried to save both his job and his marriage, and probably more. I could see a pissed off Hillary to cut essential body parts for him. She thinks he deserves it. Yeah. Yeah. Getting a job means paying taxes, means giving back whatever subsidies you might have received. I cannot see a problem with that. I know. The whole, again, you have a job, you pay taxes. And not just that, you are pumping money back into the economy. You are buying shit, you're paying for services, you have a job. You are being a beneficial citizen of the US, which is honestly more than I can say to some naturally born citizen. Like, and not to degrade, unemployed natural use citizens, but DACA recipients are held to this higher standard where they can't just sit around and be homeless and unemployed. Like, they actually have to do something about it. And she's bitching about people having jobs. Like, I don't understand where that comes from. Okay, that was that. Pump it real good. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna check this download because none of you seem to have complained about it. So we're gonna do this. Oh, Micro sent it. It wasn't Geo. So we're gonna do this. And I would try to edit it myself, but honestly, it's my computer is like struggles having OBS open already because my computer is old and crappy. Where did it go? You just sent it to me. Where did it go? Over there. Where is it? My computer is already struggling with whatever is going on. That is not transparent. I don't think it is. Oh my goodness. I'm not sure I can. I really am not sure I can make it transparent while I'm here. All right. Well, we will see. All right. Let's see. I guess worst case scenario, if this all goes tits up, we will see. Okay. So you should be seeing a blank screen right now as I'm trying to mess with all this. Let's see. Geo overlay. Oh, that name already exists. Screw you, OBS. And now you get to hear me talk while... Oh, we might... Oh, no, you're not listening to music. Okay. Let's try to find this image. Is it this one? No, it's not here. Sorry, see, this is why I didn't want to do this while in the stream, because this is going to take me a sec or two. Let's try this again. Oh, where is it? Why can't I find things? I just put you in that folder. Where did you go? See, there we go. See the troubles I go through for you too? Okay, so okay, browse. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so that's the overlay. Ooh, it might actually be working here. Look at that. And then we are going to do this. Oops, do this. Oops, I got these backwards. There we go. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. Look at that gorgeousness. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, hey, Satan, how you doing? We are talking about DACA today. But check it out. That's the overlay. It should be working, I hope. Let me know if it's not, but it looked like it was working on OBS, so I'm gonna assume that it is. You should be able to see. You should be able to hear me. Yes, okay, you can. Look at that. Everything. Oh, am I getting beautiful? Oh my God, look at it. Might have to move things around a little bit. Might have to. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I can do that. Okay, that's about as high as I'm gonna make that go. See, now I'm gonna sit here and waste time like fucking dicking around with this. Oh, okay. There's that. Where did this go? Oh my goodness, you really like put it like way high up here. Oh my goodness, see, now I have to dick around with this nonsense. Thank you for the privacy bar you put at the top. Oh, way too big! Let's go there. Is that good? That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, we'll take it. We'll go with it. We'll go with it for now. Yeah, you have successfully distracted me. It's true. As long as immigrants have federal tax ID, I see no problem. Yeah, that's kind of what one of the things we've been talking about is how a lot of these immigrants actually do have to by the nature of how they become immigrants, have to have jobs and have to pay taxes and have to do all these things. So they're not, but apparently that's not good enough for internalized misogyny. Apparently she wants more. Now, what can you do about it? Several studies suggest that more education also equals less crime. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 68% of state prison inmates don't have a high school diploma. Oh yeah, we're gonna play a Where's Waldo of Micro's contribution. So, put in the chat if you figured out where Micro's stamp is on this. Oh fuck, you win before I even finish the rules. I was gonna give you get 10 fucking internet brownie points. No, that's pretty good. Yeah, no, higher education is good. As far as I know, as far as statistics show, DACA has been rather successful. And I don't know this. I don't remember the exact statistics, but I think somewhere around like 2% of DACA recipients kind of failed at being DACA recipients and like committed crimes or were involved in gangs. And it's somewhere like 2%. It's something ridiculously low. It's been very successful. Like the people who are DACA recipients are genuinely model citizens. Like you don't get, crap people who are DACA recipients. And this thing is like way too big. Oh no. All the things. I am just messing this up so bad. So bad. Oh my goodness. This is what I get for like trying to mess with a new thing when I'm not supposed to. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna lower this. Make it a little smaller. Sorry, it really bothers me how you guys made that like really big. Like really unnecessarily big. I got to fix it. Alright, yes. To wrap our membership while doing higher education. You're right. So yeah. Things and stuff. Yeah, no, I have yet to find a good argument against DACA. It is mostly just they are breaking the law and they should pay for it regardless of whether the law is moral or not. Internalized misogyny's argument was like we need to abide by the laws all the time, period, which is really stupid because we have a lot of stupid laws that we don't even follow anymore, but they're still on the books. So she just I honestly, I said this already and I'll say it again. I honestly think that internalized misogyny just does not genuinely understand what she's talking about. I said that in my video, and I'll say it. She really needs to sit down, talk to a DACA recipient or talk to an actual immigrant and find out exactly what needs to happen, like what the process is. But let the bong do the learning and concentrate on the higher. I'm okay with that. All right, let's find out what else she's got to say before I get too distracted. You chat, you're the worst. Always distracting me. Oh, so Fino, how do you feel about this overlay, mister? I'm going to whine about your overlay because it looks like puke all the time. Let me know. Let me know how you feel about this overlay. It might get edited because I don't like how big everything is, but for the most part, I like the structure of it.
There was a DACA recipient who appeared on Tucker Carlson's show, and he was a damn defense attorney. An illegal immigrant being allowed to practice law in the country he came into illegally.
Okay, again, not an illegal immigrant. I will never say this enough. DACA recipients are not illegal immigrants. I read this. I read from it in my video from the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services. You are a legal immigrant. You might be an undocumented immigrant, and that is not a difference that I am making because of political correctness, but because you are technically, if you're a DACA recipient, in the like deferment part, like without a work permit or a residency ship or resident, you don't have a green card. if you are in that spot where you're being deferred from being deported, you are legally allowed to be in this country by U.S. policy. It is very, very simple. That is not my opinion. That is the law. That is how that works. Even if you don't agree with it, that's too bad, because that's how the law works. So stop calling DACA recipients illegal immigrants. You are wrong, and you're doing it on purpose because it's slimy. Oh, sorry, that pissed me off. Well, I try to make it as annoying as possible for R&D, and since I know he uses OS X, I thought an old Windows logo from the 90s would be perfect. It is. I am the law. I might redo the thumbnail for the quickie to put in Jen's Dread.
In other words, instead of deporting these people like they should have, our government decided to reward these people for coming here illegally.
Again, they are not. It was not their choice. I don't want to call them victims, but they kind of are victims. Like, they had no choice in the matter. This is like this is like sending kids to prison for child prostitution when they've been forced to do it. This is the level of logic that you want to embrace internalized misogyny, because you care more about the law than you care about the morality of the law. So if a child engages in child prostitution, they are breaking the law. They are engaging in prostitution, and according to you, they should be sent to prison for such a thing, regardless of the fact that that would be entirely immoral and stupid. Yeah. Hey, I totally got to choose where I was born. I know, right? Like, I did too. Being a victim of circumstance does not give you the right to deny them the fact, bitch. Oh, oof. It got strong there. I really, like, they really genuinely, if you are a dreamer, if you, and this gets under my skin, because only by the time frame was, did I sort of land in the spot where I am not a dreamer. But I understand the circumstances. Like, in case you're new or you just joined in, I'm from Mexico. I was born in Mexico. I'm a Mexican citizen, a U.S. citizen too, but, Mexican citizen. And I was brought to the U.S. without my consent at 5 years old. Like, it's not like my parents asked me, like, hey, do you want to go live in California for the rest of your life? Like, it wasn't my choice. I'll talk about that saint in a second. Like, that wasn't my choice. And for me to be punished because someone else did something that wasn't my choice to me is stupid. It really genuinely is. And it really is like sending children to prison for prostitution because they broke the law, even if they had no choice in the matter. All right, so dreamers are technically illegal immigrants simply because they came here. So dreamers aren't technically illegal immigrants. So if you're a dreamer, okay, maybe I should clarify that a little bit. If you're a DACA recipient, if you have gone through the process of applying for deferment, you're not an illegal immigrant anymore. And I say that not as my personal opinion. I say that as in my video. So if you go, if you go see my video, I read from the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services website. And they say in very clear language that if you are on deferment, you are lawfully in this country. Like that's how the policy is written, right? Like that's not my personal opinion. I got that from reading through the website. If you were brought here by your parents illegally and you haven't gone through the application process, then yes, technically you are. No, not even technically. You are an illegal immigrant, right? Like, that's how that works. So, if you haven't gone through that process, you are. If you're a dreamer, which usually means that you're a DACA recipient, it means that you have gone through the process in which the government says you're allowed to be here. So you're not breaking the law. You're not illegally in the country. You're still you're not legally in the country. It's weird because you don't have like legal status, and like the language is really weird, but you're not illegally here either. So internalized misogyny calling DACA recipients illegal immigrants is just factually incorrect. They're not illegal immigrants. They are legal immigrants. They have a lawful right to be here. And I might in a second pull that up because it's something that I brought up a lot of times, is that I read that. So I might have to bring that up. Let's see if I can do that because I think that's important. All right, so, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna bring up that site if my computer decides to be nice to me here. Which they might not. My computer might just decide to be a jerk. But I will bring up what I was reading, what I read in my video, and when I mean, it is from the website. I don't have it here, which is annoying. Where did it go? And I'm sorry if I'm doing a lot of these, like, you have to watch my stupid screen things. And there's probably music because I forgot to turn it off. Ha! That happens from time to time. Ah, here it is. I will turn off that music. I'm sorry, I didn't even realize it was on. Alright, and I will try to display this. Alright, I'm going to try to display this so that you can see it. I, of course, can't see if you can see it. Okay, you can. Alright, so we'll shorten that up a little bit. Okay, so here's the thing, okay? Deferred action, I'm going to highlight it so you can see. And I'm sorry it's so small. Maybe I can make it bigger. Let's see. We'll try to make this just a little bit bigger. Bigger. Oh my goodness. Where'd you go, thing? Welcome to my life. I'm sorry for the technical issues in this stream. But we're trying to do things differently today. Okay, so deferred action is a discretionary determination to defer a removal action of an individual as an act of prosecutorial discretion for purposes of future inadmissible based upon unlawful present. An individual whose case has been deferred is not considered unlawfully present during the period which deferred action is in effect. That right there is the important part. They are not considered unlawfully present. They are not considered illegal immigrants. And that is the real important part. That if you are a DACA recipient or a dreamer, you are not unlawfully present in this country. Now, and as I state forward, this does not give you lawful status, but it doesn't make you unlawfully here. It makes you not an illegal immigrant. And I know that the wording is weird, but as we were talking earlier, laws aren't as fucking, easy as they're not so black and white. They really aren't. And that was kind of most of my point. And again, the other big problem that internalized misogyny fails to bring up is just that there's definitely an empathetic, these people are kind of victims, and I don't want to call them victims because they're, it's not like they suffered a crime or anything, but they didn't have a choice. And that's really the crux of it is, like, you don't have a choice when your parents drag you here. You simply don't. You can't expect a 5-year-old to say, fuck you, mom, I'm going to stay behind in this country without you and figure out life on my own, Yeah, they're a victim of circumstance. Again, it really is genuinely no different than people who are forced into forced prostitution. It really is no difference. It's not like you have a choice in this. And there are some horror stories, and if you don't believe me, go watch or learn about them. But you get kidnapped and you're dragged into these circumstances. You don't have a choice in the matter. And to then turn around and be like, no, it's against the law to be a prostitute, therefore we should stick you in jail even if you didn't have a choice in the matter. That's really kind of, like, you are lacking all empathy at that point, and you are more concerned with following the law than being moral. And that's about how that works, honestly. All right.
They were given work permits and the option to basically avoid being deported every couple of years. And when people like me have the audacity to say, hey, that's fucking wrong, we're called a heartless racist who don't care about children.
Did my mask always spell Rhetoric and Discourse? Which mask? Oh, the overlay? I think the one that you bitched about didn't. The one that I had did say Rhetoric and Discourse on it, and this, I don't know, this one I think just says Rhetoric on it. I don't remember. I can't see it because I only have one monitor, so I don't see it. She doesn't care about the law. She's just using that excuse for her hatred of illegals. I actually agree with you. I do think that a lot of her sentiment is about nationalism. I think a lot of it is, this is my country, get the fuck out. Like, you don't belong here. I don't think it is about, as much as she wants to say about, this is, this is the law. Yeah, the one up here now. Oh, the one up here, I honestly, I got a quick glimpse at it, right, in Fino, but this is the one that Micro and Geo made. I really, this is all them. But they made it for me, so I got to show it off, right? I had to be good about it. Yeah, no, but I do think that a lot of this is just excuses. Like I brought up earlier, if she genuinely cared about people breaking the law, she would be up in arms about people in California and Alaska and Colorado and DC smoking pot and breaking the law. Like she should, if she cares about people breaking the law, she should be all on that shit, being like, no, stop breaking the law. You all should go to prison or jail or whatever because you're breaking the law, and screw the morality of such a law, you are breaking the law. But she's not actually going on a campaign about that stuff. She's decided to go on a campaign about illegal immigrants. Like, and again, not necessarily illegal immigrants, just immigrants in general. Like, that's what she chose to do it on.
I'm not racist, and I do care about children. I just care about legal American children more than I care about illegal children whose parents were dumb enough to bring them here illegally.
So she says that people call her racist. I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, do I think that internalized misogyny is racist. I really genuinely don't think she is. I think she's a nationalist. I think that she's maybe a couple of steps away from being a white nationalist, but I don't think that she's racist. I will say that I understand why people do think that she's racist, and I think it's got to do with what I was just talking about, which is that if she really, like, so her case is that she cares about the law, right? Like, that's her case, is I care about the law. Gio, you can post like full links. You're a moderator. Or you can do it this way too. I don't care. She makes this whole case about how she cares about the law, but yet the only time that she genuinely seems to get up in arms about people breaking the law is when it's honestly brown people. Like, and I don't, like, again, I don't think she's racist, but that's why I think people do think she's racist. Is that the only time she decides to make a video about people in mass breaking the law, it's when it's about people that aren't the same color as her. And I that's just you're kind of writing the line there. Like that's probably why that happened. Like, that's probably why you get that. And I genuinely internalize misogyny. If you ever watch this, I genuinely do not think you're racist. I'm just trying to point out why people might think you're racist. Breaking the law, breaking the law. I really should have had that song prepared. Maybe I'll try to find it for the end credits.
And yes, that includes legal immigrants and their children. I don't give a damn what color you are. As far as I'm concerned, as soon as...
So, and she'll say in a second, legal immigrants. DACA recipients are legal immigrants. Like, I'm gonna point back to this. DACA recipients are legal immigrants. Like, even if you don't like it, even if you don't think that should be the law, DACA recipients are legal immigrants. They just are. Like, that is the U.S. policy, or was the U.S. policy about that. That's just it. Like, you are plain old wrong about continuing to call DACA recipients illegal immigrants. You just are. Okay. Even worse, call them out as illegals, take away the protected status and try to deport them and drive thousands underground and cause problems you allegedly want to prevent. That is true. Like, so one of the nice things about DACA is that, or currently you have 800,000-ish people who are being held to this contract of being good. Like, they have to be model citizens to be able to stay in this country. You now have 800,000 people who are gonna try their best to try to be good so they don't get deported. Which, and one of those stipulations is that you can't break the law. And she wants to take that away. She wants to make it so that, you know, these people aren't being held up to this anymore. All right, Gio. Hey, thanks for the overlay. I love it. I think it's great. I'm gonna fix it a little bit so that it's not so so wonky when I'm setting it up. But besides that, it's fucking awesome, man. It's fucking awesome. I love it. As they were treated well, they'll also teach us girls to be good, just out of pride in their status and what they've achieved. It's true, and she kind of talks about this later on, where she talks about the hard work that legal immigrants have put into this. And she's right. Like, as a legal immigrant, I understand how much hard work I had to put in this. Like, I still say this, and I probably am a bit of a dick for doing it, but honestly, to be a citizen, I had to, and still do, know more about U.S. history, know more about U.S. law, and be better behaved than natural-born U.S. citizens. Like, I was held up to a higher standard than anyone who is just happened to be popped out of someone's vagina in the U.S. I had to be held up to a higher standard, which honestly I think made me a better person. And that's a good thing. Like, it's a good thing to be held up to this higher standard. And DACA recipients are held up to this higher standard. They don't just get away with whatever. Like, you genuinely have to work hard for it. Alright, so like I said, I talked about this earlier because I knew I wasn't going to get to it. And this is about as far as we are going to get into this. Hey, that was pretty good. Almost 3 minutes, guys. Made it almost 3 minutes. That, I think, might be a world record on us. Nope, that's the one I want. Okay. So, thank you for joining. We have reached we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. But thank you all for joining us, joining me. I am hopefully planning to, and I'm trying my bestest to have a Flat Earth video for you all on Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning American time, because fuck every other time zone. I will hopefully have a Flat Earth video. I think if you're not done shitting on Internalized Misogyny, go to her channel. So like I said, I did leave her a comment saying that I made a video about her and that I was going to talk about her. I don't know how much she saw that, but you know, go tell her that in her channel. Maybe she will. Maybe she'll notice me. Notice me, senpai. Good night, Gio. Thank you. Oh yeah, Friday. Are we doing a thing? So Micro is stating that we are doing a thing. So hopefully Friday night, and I still have to ask for the time off, but Friday night we will have, hopefully, crossing our fingers, have a special edition of taking a look at, because if you haven't heard, it's the end of the world on Friday night for Americans. I think it's like 6 o'clock for me and like midnight for Micro. So yeah, it's the end of the world on Friday. We are planning on having a special edition of Taking a Look At, where we will be counting down to the end of the world. So please join us there at Taking a Look At. Hopefully next Saturday I should have a Flat Earth video on Flat Earth Asshole. I know that I had promised Orphan Blue last week, but as it turns out, Orphan Blue deleted all her videos before I could download any of them, so I don't really have anything to show you. I'm gonna keep an eye on her YouTube page, and if I ever see one again, I will download it immediately, and hopefully we will do a show on that, because I think that would be whole lot of interesting. I don't know what next week's show is gonna be on. I don't have a plan for that, so if you wanna leave a suggestion, leave it in the down belows. Any suggestion would be good. I honestly have no clue. I might do a Flat Earth thing going with Flat Earth Asshole, unless I can find something else that's interesting as well. So yeah, but that's the end of the show. Thank you once again for fantastic hangout R&D. This clip deserves being ripped to pieces. Just about wanting to recover after Pete got 30 minutes on it. Fina, I am so glad that you actually enjoyed this one, because I know you didn't enjoy the last one. But thank you for joining us. All right. So, no, thank you all for joining us. This has been Rhetoric and Discourse. Follow me on the things that I meant, the Twitters and the others and stuff. Follow me. Do the things. Love you all. You all are the best. I will see you all next Sunday for another longer and harder with, and who knows who.